Newtopia coming up. It is ticker, I see OTC ticker NEWUF, and we are going to be speaking with the founder and CEO, Jeff Ruby, and I see him backstage. There he is. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
I seen you backstage. I think you were debating going with the vest or without the vest. I like the vest. I just wanted to let you know.
I'm just wondering if the color pop was too much for the audience, but I'm going to stick with it.
If I'm an audience member, it's not affecting me. I see you have I see backstage. Oh, there's the presentation. I will let you take it away, sir. And I gave the OTC ticker, but I see you have a TSX Venture also.
Yeah, we're Canadian founded with a sort of public on the venture exchange, but also just completed our OTCQB. So both the Canadian and the NEWUF in the US work.
Sure. Well, congrats on the OTC listing. I will let you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Really great to be with you today. My name is Jeff Ruby. I'm the founder and CEO of Newtopia, and just make sure I've got my slides moving forward here. There we go. We are a tech-enabled habit change company that's focused on disease prevention. And what we're doing is we're partnering with health insurers to both keep their members healthy and to lower their costs. And the focus of the platform is really on incrementally changing habits around nutrition, exercise, and mental and emotional health so that we can reduce the risk of physical disorders, including obesity, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, musculoskeletal issues, and also mental and emotional health issues, including diabetes and anxiety. And as a provider of whole person care, we're focused on the 80% of the insured population that have got elevated risks. And in partnership with health insurers, our clients include groups like CVS Health today, JP Morgan Chase, and Accenture as examples in the Fortune 500 set. We've been able to prove that within a year, we're able to reduce both the physical health risks and the mental and emotional health risks, driving a proven cost savings and ROI. And the best part is that those outcomes grow over time, so that the quality of the risk reduction and the quality of the cost savings improves. It's a pretty massive market. Not much is standing in its way. And what we've learned through COVID-19 is that this focus on this at-risk population has become more material and more pressing for health insurers as it is a pretty giant unmitigated liability for them. And just to jump in, the problem that we solve is very much a problem of where the focus of US healthcare, or what should more appropriately be called sick care, is. Of the 3.8 trillion, which should arrive at about $4 trillion in 2021 of US healthcare spend, most of that is on sick care. It's taking care of individuals who've already been diagnosed with an illness. And while we've got brilliant healthcare professionals, both doctors, health professionals, huge health systems, and providers who are doing wonderful jobs at both identifying, prescribing, and treating illness, what they don't do a great job of is offering primary prevention in the form of lifestyle management, and they're not really good at helping individuals change their habits. And we know that by simply changing the habits in and around nutrition, exercise, mental health, tobacco use, there's a massive opportunity to prevent much of the chronic disease and much of the $3.8 trillion of spend that's currently running in the system. And that's very much what Newtopia is focused on, to help health insurers reduce their costs and keep their members healthier. How we work is by really trying to implement or identify individuals who are at risk when they know they're at risk. And so what we're doing is we're leveraging existing tools that health insurers are using today. Those could be employers or insurers that are using tools like biometric testing, or they're using health risk assessments or claims data. And effectively what Newtopia does is we pull that data to identify the 80% of the population who've got these elevated risk factors. And then we make the invitation as they're learning that it could be leading to heart disease or a stroke, or leading to a chronic disease like type 2 diabetes or cancer. We want to meet them in that moment of concern. We're currently seeing an enrollment of between 25% at the low end, up to 75% of that at-risk population, with certain incentives driving onto our platform. Once they do, our habit change methodology kicks in, which is really one size fits one. What we want to do is spend time getting to know each individual, socially, behaviorally, and genetically. And we're really a pioneer in what we call genetic engagement. genetic engagement's different from, we're not looking for ancestry, we're not looking at disease risk, we're trying to help the individual understand him or herself so they can stop blaming themselves and also really understand what they can do to change the course of their habits, how to effectively empower them. Once we've done that learning socially, behaviorally, genetically, we turn to designing these experiences that are 100% virtual. They include the best of human with the right advice. They include the right technology. It's all mobile or web-based, which is effectively built for each individual to represent the right plan, to curate this relationship with the health coach that we provide. It also blends the right wearable and wireless sensors, the right kind of gaming, and the right kind of social curated health community, all with the idea that the individual at risk is put in the center. We effectively become a student of that individual. We're not delivering a one-size-fits-one curriculum. We're not teaching a course. The idea is we're really trying to build the confidence and incremental habits of those individuals. And what we're looking for is at the end of 12 months, we want to see all 5 key metabolic risks improve. We want to see key mental and emotional health improve, all with a proven ROI to the health insurer. How we recognize revenue is really performance-based. We had the benefit of running a 3-year large-scale randomized control trial prior to commercializing, whereby we were able to publish in a peer-reviewed journal best-in-class clinical risk reduction across physical and mental health, and also a proven cost savings. And with that, we were able to effectively back into this performance-based model where we're aligning everyone's interests. As an individual says, I want to join the Newtopia platform, the first thing we do is send that individual a welcome kit with all the tools the individual needs to be successful. We'll bill the health insurer roughly $230. It's at lower margins. Effectively, we're trying to set that individual up for success. The core of our revenues come in bucket number 2, where every month that participant is engaged in the platform, either with their inspirator, who's the health coach, or with the technology. We charge the employer or health insurer a $65 a month monthly recurring revenue. Today, we're generating roughly 60% margins off that recurring revenue and a service ratio of 1 to 200. And we think that's pretty good. We've been keeping it artificially low on purpose, really to drive the best outcomes possible. But we've been also making investments in our technology platform, whereby we believe we can improve that service ratio, move up to about 1 to 350, optimally 1 to 400, and move from the 60 points of margin on our recurring revenues up to the low to mid 70s. The third component is if at the end of 12 months, a participant achieves a clinically significant milestone. Today, we set that at a 5% body weight reduction because we know that at that threshold, we will have improved all physical risk reduction and mental and emotional health risk reduction with a proven cost savings from our RCT, and we charge an outcome milestone. It's effectively a success fee. Our opportunity to participate and gain share, that's 100% margin. When you take all those 3 components and now apply 6 years of commercial experience, we can estimate and model on an average recurring revenue per participant of $1,600 over 3 years. It's actually fairly conservative. We know that today that the 3 years was based on a randomized control trial. We have 60-month or 5-year data suggesting that the average recurring revenue per participant is longer than 3 years, more like 5, and certainly more than 1,600. But we keep it there just to be conservative and leave lots of room for growth. What we're finding from health insurers that they find attractive about what we do and how we model our revenue and our business model is that we're actually going at risk to modify key physical health risk reduction. And so we know that there are 5 key risks that are really at the heart of most of our healthy lifestyle decisions and whether or not we're developing chronic disease. It's things like our waist circumference or BMI, our blood glucose or A1C, blood pressure, triglycerides, and cholesterol. As those risks go out of range, it's effectively our body letting us know that there's a breakdown in health that's taking place. And as that breakdown in health takes place and more of those risks go out of range, with 2 or more out of range, you're now at risk with a 5 times greater chance of developing type 2 diabetes, 2 times greater chance of developing cardiovascular disease, 3 times greater chance of having a stroke. And that's not all. As those risks continue to manifest themselves, it also leads to incredibly costly and life-threatening illnesses that are all connected. If you're a health insurer, what should make you concerned about those risks going out of range is not just the health consequences to your employees or members, but it's also the cost consequences of insuring them. where the average healthy individual today should be about $3,400 per year just for paid medical insurance. I'm talking about hard inpatient, outpatient emergency room costs. The problem is that 80% of the US population that's insured by a health insurer has at least one of those 5 risks that I've ranked today, which means that health insurers don't have many folks in green at $3,400. They're now left with 80% of their population sitting at about 60% more cost, up to $4,400 to $5,400. What makes that period of risk so scary is that within a very short period of time, like a year, $5,400 could spike by 3 times and become $15,000 a year if that person develops type 2 diabetes, or spike by 4 times and become $20,000 a year if that person develops cardiovascular disease, which is a pretty scary, unmitigated liability, and it's really only representing the physical health costs. We've all learned over COVID-19, which continues, is that this group of individuals at risk, second to age, has been the second leading cost amplifier for insurers, which I think the numbers are untold there about just how much those individuals cost. And then on top of that, you've got the mental and emotional health costs above that, which we're all certainly aware of and all health insurers are dealing with. Now, it's the red area here where this is the domain of sick care. This is most of where US healthcare takes place, whether it be through providers, through condition management programs. It's all about mitigating the folks who are already over the cliff. And we believe that there's a great opportunity to actually look further downstream to this population at risk in the middle, where we've proven through habit change, there's an opportunity for us to mitigate those risks, lower those costs, and drive probably the most important and impressive bending of the cost curve available. It's a pretty large and growing market. When you look at that $3.8 trillion, it's largely covered and paid for by 3 different types of health insurers in the US. You've got self-insured employers. These are employers with typically more than 500 employees. It's self-insured, they own the risk. They cover roughly 140 million Americans. Then you've got private insurers who are covering the small employer or individual market at about 100 million lives. And then you've got the government through Medicaid, Medicare, and the VA covering roughly another 100 million lives. In Canada, it's about 38 million lives. And where we got our start was really focusing on the self-insured employers. The innovators there have got the greatest pain and have oftentimes been moving faster. But what we've seen is that there's been greater and greater opportunity to focus on both private insurers and the public insurers. And now we find all 3 are in play and very much in our pipeline. Our current clients today, as I mentioned, really represent some of the biggest innovator, early adopter, self-insured employers and payers in the US. And really what they were attracted to was the differentiated approach. We're really the only ones doing what we're doing. Today, this collective population represents about 840,000 lives, of which conservatively 50% have at least those risk factors making them eligible, or 420,000 lives. We've historically converted at about 20%. So there's roughly 75,000 Newtopia participants as we grow into these contracts. Multiply that by the 1,600, there's over $120 million in revenue in our existing contracts alone. Now we phase into each of those, we're still growing into them. And as I mentioned, we're also seeing huge opportunities in the fully paid insurer and in the government, specifically around Medicare and Medicare Advantage that we're going through. Newtopia has been built on clinical validation. We've really wanted to make sure that we are evidence-based and outcome-based. We've got a legacy having grown up through a number of different really wonderful innovation partnerships. As I mentioned, we got started out of Aetna Innovations, who ran a 3-year randomized control trial that was published and peer-reviewed in the Journal of Occupational Environmental Medicine. We then came through the Accenture Innovation Program, winning the sort of most impressive, biggest disruptor and innovator in 2019. We've most recently come through a project with JP Morgan Chase, sponsored by Haven when it existed, applying some really fantastic behavioral economics, and we've seen our results improve over time. We're fully recognized by the CDC as an alternate diabetes prevention program, which is the first of its kind for a precision health company like us, and have been recognized by the Society of Actuaries for our ability to lower costs, both in commercial and Medicare Advantage populations. Another thing that's really important to consider about Newtopia is just the kind of data that we're collecting. Consider that as each participant joins our platform, we're able to collect and own their full genomic sample, plus 3+ years, more like 5 years of really rich lifestyle, mental health, social determinants of health, otherwise known as phenotypic data. Now, our ownership rights extends to the anonymous de-identified data layer, so no personal health information. But it's incredibly valuable when you apply more and more AI and machine learning as we do against it in two ways. From a sort of an analytics and data analytics perspective, it provides us the opportunity to provide more and more insights back to each participant to keep them engaged and sticky longer, which helps our recurring revenue model. But I believe there's an even bigger opportunity that as we scale that data, we're able to really present a novel data set in partnership with drug discovery and pharma firms to effectively usher in a next generation preventive therapeutic platform, effectively how we marry Newtopia's proven habit change results with precision medications to lower blood pressure, blood glucose, cholesterol, or have impacts across depression and anxiety. This past quarter, we saw a real sort of tremendous shift away from some of the issues and some of the normal, I guess, movement against normal standard operating procedures from COVID. We saw opportunities. We had the biggest quarterly engagement of our participants ever. We saw one of our clients in CVS has a huge expansion where we saw our welcome kit sales increase by 300% in the quarter. And if you sort of caught on to where our business model is going, a 300% increase in welcome kits is really a harbinger for a lot of engagement income that's going to come next. We've got a pretty big expanded addressable market and moving more and more into mental and emotional health. We're anticipating really a big return to growth and much more client onboarding in Q3 and Q4 as more of our clients continue to roll out Newtopia to their populations. From a growth perspective, our revenues have been consistently growing since 2016 when we began commercialization. We've been growing about 100% year over year. Anticipate that that kind of growth to continue into the future. Again, we're seeing a return to our growth in Q3 and Q4 as a lot of the COVID issues that we had faced have gone and been fixed and corrected. And we've got a massive pipeline of other both insurers that we're working with and looking to deploy for next year. And on the participant side, sort of steady growth. These are the growth in participants. This is where that recurring revenue base comes from. And keep in mind today, we've really only rolled out about 20% of our existing contract potential. So there's a massive opportunity for us to keep growing into them. And I think that's really where the key growth drivers are all about. There are three that Newtopia is focused on. The first is expanding our client base. As I mentioned, we started out in the self-insured employer on the innovator side, have lots of great prospects there. But as we've seen the impacts of COVID and some of the indecision around employers and just them being busy, we've seen a lot more interest amongst the fully insured payers for their commercial population and also for their Medicare Advantage population. And so we're starting to really expand into all three insurer types. The second key driver is around increasing enrollment. Here, there's an opportunity for us to grow into that 20% of our existing client base, really grow into the 75,000 participants and 120 million lives. And then finally would be to improve our product density, effectively to the 80% of the population, offering more and more different program and product areas. When you sum it all up, it's really three key areas that are important for us. I fundamentally believe the future of healthcare in the United States is going to be about preventing disease. It's the only sustainable way for health insurers to manage the health of their population and manage their costs down. And Newtopia really represents that front door for them. And we've seen great opportunities with our existing client base, and now an explosion of interest with COVID for us to continue growing. And as we do, both improving our revenues and our growth, but more importantly, improving that incredibly valuable data source that we have of genetic and phenotypic data so that we can commercialize really the next generation of our platform in partnership with drug discovery and pharma. I thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
This stuff is huge. It seems like this is a huge thing that your team is trying to tackle here, Jeff. So I just want to, understand a couple basic things and ask a couple kind of like logistical questions. So you said it a little bit earlier, a health coach, right? I'm going to totally oversimplify this, I'm sure, but I mean, a person can have a dietitian and they can have a physical trainer, and that the platform here is really wrapping all of that together. Is that correct?
Yeah, what we're doing with we call our health coaches inspirators. We're looking for individuals who have got backgrounds in nutrition, exercise physiology, and psychology. So it's wrapping kind of all
Wow.
those. But what we're really looking for, which is particular and unique to us, is we're looking for habit change designers, and we're looking
Yeah.
for individuals who are behavior change agents, really high empathy, really high emotional intelligence, really great emotional interviewing skills. What we
Mhm.
don't want are content instructors. We want individuals who can
Sure.
make people feel something and then design the right method of changing and stacking new durable habits.
Of course, of course. What is the success rate like? Like for the it was a $200 fee that you guys get for success. I don't know if I saw that you had on screen what the success rate is like. Like how many people are
Yeah.
paying that $200 fee?
Yeah, in our randomized control trial, we saw 76% of our participants lose that, in that case, 4.3% body weight reduction.
Mhm.
And that was roughly a 10% body weight. And so our book of businesses remained fairly consistent. In fact, we've improved upon that. And in the latest results that we had with JP Morgan Chase in 2020, we were able to drive that 76% up to close to 85% who were achieving those outcomes. And that was in 2020 in the heart of the COVID
Sure.
pandemic.
Sure.
So these are pretty durable and strong results.
And the data angle that you highlighted is, of course, huge for the business. From a user perspective, and this is, of course, becoming more and more prevalent in everything we're doing. But I mean, any reassurance that you can give, about data security and the usage of the data to users and to investors.
Yeah, 100%. So first, we recognize the sensitivity and the importance of that data. Everything, I mean, so we're a fully HIPAA compliant platform. All of that data is encrypted. Keep in mind as well, we're not, our interest is not in personal health information or PHI. Our interest is in the anonymous de-identified data layer. And so we provide everything is consented to, and we're fully transparent with our participants and with our clients what we're using the data for, what we're not. Again, the idea is really each participant has the opportunity to consent to participating in scientific research on an anonymous de-identified basis to effectively let us use their de-identified genomic information connected with that lifestyle information so we can improve upon the habit change that we can offer and improve upon the insights we can provide them. So very transparent, and I would say it's incredibly popular. Of our clients today, we're seeing well over 85% uptake in the genetic engagement part because I believe people are really craving for something built for them as opposed to
Of course.
something that's just guideline based. This is something really built from them for them, and it's really pointing to that one size fits one that consumers and individuals are looking for.
Excellent, Jeff. Again, it seems like a big cookie your team is trying to bite off here, and I'm absolutely wishing you good luck in this endeavor. Jeff Ruby, founder and CEO of Newtopia. It is you got a couple tickers. You got a ticker on the Toronto venture. It's NEWU, and then the OTC is NEWUF.
Correct. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.